everybody, welcome back to SC Native Outdoors. I was going to take a few minutes and go ahead and review over my current climbing stick that I was asked to talk about by somebody on the hunting forum that I'm on. Apparently he's just getting into the saddle hunting and just getting into the one stick climbing method, so he was kind of curious about my stick. I really haven't done a great deal on it as far as talking about how it's done and how I came about to have this particular one. So we'll start there. We'll start from the beginning. So first things first, this is the current stick that I have. All right, you're gonna see there's nothing special about it. It is basically just, actually it was made out of necessity rather. When I first got into saddle hunting, I just realized off the rip that I didn't want to spend $300 on a climbing stick. So what I ended up doing was I had a set of a lot of you will be familiar with it from the River's Edge, I believe is what it's called if I'm not mistaken. But they are a set of 3 climbing sticks that you can buy pretty much from Walmart or off of Amazon. And they're usually about 79, 80 bucks. So what I did was, they're about 3 foot long. I cut the middle section out and pretty much cut the stick in half and then put it together. So it would make about a 16-inch stick. And then I used on the top, we'll get in more to the stick here in just a minute. But what I did is I kind of upgraded a few things, and I just had an extra piece of 3/4 inch plywood laying around. So I cut it out to fit the top of the stick. I put some screws in top of it to help with traction, and then I literally bolted it to the top of the stick itself. On the bottom, what you're going to see is I had an old roll pouch, and I thought I was going to like using the roll pouch for what it was. It was pretty decent. It was easy to use to get it out, to get started, but at the end of the hunt, to wrap everything back up and trying to use it one-handed while it's on the side of your saddle was a little bit more difficult to operate than I had expected. So I was left with it. So I couldn't figure out what to do with it, and then I saw on, what was it, Eastern Woods Outdoors, I believe is what it is, and they've got their altimeter, and it comes in like a little pouch that you can get with it to kind of keep everything secured to your stick at all times. So that's what I use mine for, which we'll go over that later on when we go out to a tree. But first, we are going to address the questions that the gentleman had. So he had 2 questions. Basically, was my one stick improved design, which realistically, it's not an improved design. It was just made out of necessity. Like I said, I did not want to pay $300 and something for a stick with a platform on it when I had something that I know I could make out of what I currently had. So that's what I did. Now, I did do a few modifications to it. So we'll talk about the stick first. Like I said, on the bottom side of it here, what you're gonna see is this is just the old roll pouch, and it just houses my 3-step climbing aider. Then what you're gonna notice is, if you remember correctly, I said that I had to cut it down to make it work. So the design is 1-inch square tubing for the main part of the stick and the steps, and then the standoffs themselves are about 1 inch. So what I found out was the 1-inch standoffs actually fit perfect into the end of this bottom step here, as well as into the stick itself. So what I done is I cut off the two original attachment method. It was just two coiled up round bars that were welded to the front of the stick, and that allowed you to put a ratchet strap on it or a cam buckle strap. What I did is I cut it in half, and I cut one of the standoffs off of the old stick, and I put it in the middle. Then I drilled my holes to where it's, if you see right here, or how well you can see, but if you look right here, you'll see I got two screws. There's a piece of metal that's in here that is what's really keeping the stick secure. I did weld it, but I'm not the best welder, so I didn't want to trust the weld job, so I just thought it would be best to, since this is what I'm climbing with and this is what I'm standing on, it'd be best to go ahead and just reinforce it. So that's what I did. I put the piece together, drilled my holes, put the piece of metal inside, tack welded it just a little bit to hold it in place. I had already pre-drilled my screws, and that was it. I just set my screws in there, tightened them down, and then I ran a bead around to keep it held together. Now, I haven't had an issue or anything with it, I guess you could say shifting, kicking out, or whatever, however you want to put it. I haven't really had an issue with that. So it was all good there for me. This might not be something you want to do, but for me, it's what worked. All right, so then the next thing I did was, like I said, I removed the two attachment points that were on each side of the stick. One was here, and the other one was hanging out over here. So what I did was I just did a DIY Versa button, which gives me a place to attach my strap. Then on the top of the stick, very simple. Like I said, 3/4 inch piece of plywood cut out to give me just enough room to stand on. And I drilled a couple holes in it, drilled into the stick, and then put some lag bolts in it, which I still haven't cut off, but I plan on doing that here shortly. Then the only thing I did was, before I put the actual stand part of it on, I just took a piece of cordage and I made me a little something I can grab when I'm on the tree to kind of pull it up to break the friction of it on the tree when it's being held in place. And when I get out to the tree and actually start climbing, I'll show you as to how that actually works as well, man. So that's pretty much it. Very simple stick that was made out of something that I already had. It's compact, it fits on my pack pretty well, so no issues there. Now, the only thing I would say is if I had the cash to actually go out and buy another stick, then I would, because I really like the Ultimate One stick, especially with it having an angled platform. But I've also done something to counteract that as well. Just makes comfortability a lot better in the saddle. So that's pretty much what the stick actually looks like and the very simple design that it is. And you'll see better when it's on a tree later. But your next question was, how do I attach it to the tree and how do I adjust it for the size of a tree? It's very simple. The sticks originally, when you buy the set of 3, they all come with the means to fasten it to the tree, obviously. In this case, it's what a lot of people do not like to use, which is just your simple cam buckle. Squeeze the end of it, it opens up, and you can feed it through and adjust it. So the way this works is I got one piece that is constantly attached to the stick. And what I do is I always just use the back end of it. And that's what's going to be attached to the stick. So it's very simple to adjust, as you can see. You just push the cam buckle down and you can literally just pull it all the way out if you want. But the way I run it is I take this end, because this end right here is always going to be on the right side of the tree where I climb. And I'll show you more on that when I climb. But it's just got a simple soda loop in one end. And all I do is just simply attach it to the stick, just like so. And then I can literally run this around the tree and I can pretty much adjust the length that I want all the way out. And it gives me, I think the last time I measured it, it had given me about 6 feet diameter around the tree. So it works out really well. So to answer your question, everything I use, like I said in the beginning, was something that I already had. And I just really just modified it to fit my needs for saddle hunting and to make it very mobile, very compact, and took off some of the weight basically. But there's nothing special about it. A lot of people will use a rope mod in place of the cam buckle tie down strap. And these tie down straps you can actually buy. I think I found a pack of 4 on Amazon for like $19.99. And the strap itself is able to hold a load of 1,200 pounds per strap, if I'm thinking of the correct one. I did look at 2 of them. One was a heavy duty and the other one wasn't. I think it's the heavy duty ones that will hold up to 1,200 pounds. The other one, a typical standard adjustable tie down, or cinch strap is what they call it. And it'll hold up to 300 pounds, which is fine. I don't weigh more than 300 pounds, so it works for me. Might not work for you, but I just wanted to kind of help you out and answer the questions that you had. Here in just a few, we will get out to the tree. Once we get out to the tree, what I'll do is I'll show you how I install it on the tree, and then I'll make a climb and I'll show you how I climb. But before I climb, you know, just a little disclaimer, I only got one camera that I can use. So the odds of it being really detailed on how it works, that'll all be filmed on the ground. All right, so give me just a little bit and then I'll get out to the tree and we'll do a simple climb. Hopefully the winds died down a little bit because it was kind of windy out earlier, but I'll still do it regardless. And if the audio is not the way that I want it to be, then I'll just kind of overdub this part of it out and we'll kind of go from there. All right, so give me a few, like I said, and I'll put this up. I'll get that climb done and then I'll put this up and get you back on the info you wanted just as soon as I can. All right, bud, appreciate it. You have a good one.